Thexara stood on the balcony of what used to be the council chamber. Below him, the city burned. Smoke rose from 1,000 fires, painting the sky the color of old blood. He was tired, more tired than any living being should be. The old Viridian closed his eyes and reached out with his mind. Once, he could feel millions of his people across the planet. Their thoughts had been like a warm ocean, constantly moving, always connected. Now, there was almost nothing. Just a few thousand minds huddled in the tunnels below the city. The ocean had become a puddle. 3 cycles ago, the Krath had come. They arrived in ships that blocked out the sun. The Viridians had sent messages of peace. They offered trade, friendship, knowledge. The Krath answered with fire. The Viridians were not warriors. They had never needed to be. For 10,000 years, they had lived in peace. They built cities of light and crystal. They studied the stars and wrote poetry about the wind. When the Krath came, the Viridians did not know how to fight back. Thexara remembered the first attack. He remembered the screaming. His people had never known such pain before. The Krath weapons did not just kill bodies. They destroyed minds. For a telepathic species, it was worse than death. It was like being torn apart from the inside. The door behind him opened. Lyra walked out onto the balcony. She was young, barely past her first century. Her face was covered in dust, and her robes were torn. She had been helping move supplies to the underground shelter. "The last ships are gone," she said. Her voice was flat, empty of hope. "The Krath destroyed them 10 minutes ago. We saw it from the lower levels." Thexara nodded slowly. He had felt it too. 16 ships, the last of their defense fleet. 16 captains who chose to die fighting rather than hide. He had felt each one of them wink out of existence. "How many are left below?" he asked. 8,042, Lyra said. "That is all. 8,000 out of 9 billion. The number hung in the air between them like a curse. 9 billion souls. Gone. Turned to ash and memory. Thexara felt something break inside him, something he thought had already been broken. "I told them," Lyra said. Her voice cracked. 5 years ago, I told the council we needed weapons. I showed them the reports about the Krath. I begged them to prepare." She looked at her hands. "They called me paranoid. They said no species could be so cruel." "You were right," Thexara said. "We should have listened." "It does not matter now," she said. Above them, the sky began to glow. Not from the fires, but from something worse. The Krath mothership was moving into position. Thexara could see it even without looking up. It was enormous, bigger than their largest city. It carried enough weapons to crack a planet in half. "They are preparing the final attack," he said. "They will bombard everything. Even the tunnels will not save us." Lyra sat down on the stone floor. She looked like a child, small and lost. "Is this how we end? After everything we built? Everything we dreamed?" Thexara sat beside her. His old bones ached. "I am going to send a message," he said. "Out into space. Not a call for help. It is too late for that. But a record. So someone will know we existed. So someone will remember us." "Who will hear it?" Lyra asked. "The Krath control this entire sector. The other species are too afraid to act. We sent 40 distress calls. No one came." "I know," Thexara said. "But I must try." He stood up and walked back inside. The communication array was still working. Somehow, he sat at the console and began to record. He spoke about his people, about their love of beauty and knowledge, about their cities and their songs. He spoke about the children who would never grow up, about the dreams that would never be dreamed. "We were not perfect," he said into the recorder. "But we were good. We harmed no one. We only wanted to live in peace." His voice shook. "If anyone hears this, please remember us. Remember that the Viridians existed. Remember that we loved life. He sent the message out into the void. It would travel for years, maybe centuries. Maybe someone would hear it. Maybe they would care. Liramesh stood at the window. "Thexara," she said. Her voice was strange. "Come look at this." He joined her at the window. The Krath mothership was still there, hanging in the sky like a blade. But there was something else. At the edge of the star system, space itself seemed to be tearing open. Bright flashes of light appeared, one after another. "What is that?" Liramesh whispered. Thexara reached out with his mind, trying to sense what was coming. But whatever it was not Viridian. It was not Krath either. It was something else. Something new. 6 shapes emerged from the tiers in space. They were ships, but unlike any ships Thexara had ever seen. They were smaller than the Krath vessels, almost crude in their design, but there was something about them. Something that felt like controlled violence. Like a knife, waiting to cut. The Krath must have seen them too. Their ships began to move, forming battle positions. They were not afraid. Why would they be? They had crushed every enemy they had ever faced. But Thexara felt something he had not felt in 3 cycles. He felt a tiny spark of hope, fragile as morning frost. Maybe, just maybe, the message had been heard. Maybe someone had come after all. The 6 strange ships moved forward. They did not slow down. They did not send messages. They simply attacked, and the sky filled with fire. Commander Hyunwoo Kang stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the Krath fleet fill his screens. There were too many to count. 40 capital ships at least, plus hundreds of smaller vessels. Plus, the Conley, the Cantress, his own fleet consisted of 6 ships. 6 ships against an empire. "Sir," Bo-Ra-Im said from the tactical station, "I have analyzed their formation. They are positioned for planetary bombardment, not fleet combat." They were not expecting company. Hyunwoo nodded. That was good. Surprise was the only advantage they had. He looked at the planet below. From here, he could see the fires burning on the surface. He could see the Krath mothership positioning itself for the final kill. "How long do we have?" he asked. "The Krath will begin bombardment in 17 minutes, Bo-Ra said. Based on their weapons profile, the underground shelters will collapse in approximately 4 minutes after that, 21 minutes. That was how long the last survivors had to live, unless his fleet did something. "We received a message," the communications officer said. "It came from the planet 3 weeks ago. It traveled a long way. Sir, you should hear this." The message played. An old voice spoke about a dying species. About peace and beauty and love. About children who would never grow up. The voice was sad but dignified. It asked only to be remembered. The bridge was silent when the message ended. Hyunwoo saw his crew looking at him. They were waiting for orders. They were waiting for him to decide if 8,000 aliens were worth dying for. "Taemin," Hyunwoo said to the engineering station, "I need everything these ships have. I do not care if the engines melt. I do not care if we burn out every system. Give me everything." Taemin Park grinned. He was young and brilliant and slightly crazy. "Yes, sir. I can push the reactors to 130%. Maybe 140 if we vent the safety systems. We will be very fast or very dead." "Perfect," Hyunwoo said. He turned to Bo-Ra. "Tactical plan. We are outnumbered 40 to 1. How do we win?" Bo-Ra brought up a hologram of the battlefield. "We do not win by fighting fair. We divide our fleet. 6 ships, 6 attack vectors. We hit them from all sides at once. The Krath have never faced an enemy who attacks from multiple directions. They think in terms of overwhelming force, not strategy. They will destroy us." Someone said. "Probably," Bo-Ra agreed. "But we only need to last 21 minutes. We do not need to win." We just need to stop them from killing those people down there. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. They were scared. He could see it in their eyes. But they were also ready. They had volunteered for this mission. They knew what they were signing up for when they joined the expeditionary fleet. Humanity has a saying, Hyunwoo said. We do not leave anyone behind. Those people down there sent a message asking to be remembered. We are going to do better than that. We are going to save them. He activated the fleet channel. All ships. This is indomitable. Attack pattern Delta. 6 vectors. Maximum burn. And remember, the Krath shields are designed for energy weapons. Use kinetics first. The fleet split apart. Each ship burned hard in a different direction. The Krath fleet noticed them now. Their ships began to turn, confused by the strange attack pattern. Here we go, Taemin said. The Indomitable's engines roared to life. The ship shook as it accelerated past its design limits. The Krath fired first. Beams of red energy lanced through space. The destroyer Valor took a direct hit. Its shields held for 2 seconds, then collapsed. The ship broke apart in a ball of fire. Valor is gone, communications reported. Keep going, Hyunwoo ordered. All ships, weapons free. The Terran ships opened fire. Railguns fired solid metal slugs at a significant fraction of light speed. The Krath shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing against simple kinetic force. The slugs punched through shields like they were not there. It is working, Bora said. She sounded surprised. Their shields cannot stop our weapons. Do not celebrate yet, Hyunwoo said. They are adapting. He was right. The Krath were fast learners. Their ships began moving, trying to dodge the kinetic rounds. They were big ships, but they could move when they wanted to. More red beams filled space. The frigate Courage exploded. Then the destroyer Defiance took a hit that tore off half the ship. We have lost 3 ships, Bora said. But we have destroyed or damaged 12 Krath vessels. Not enough, Hyunwoo said. The Krath mothership was still moving into bombardment position. It had not even joined the fight yet. It was so big, so powerful, that it did not fear them. Then we make it enough, Taemin said. He was working frantically at his console. Sir, I have an idea. It is a terrible idea. You are going to hate it. Tell me. The mothership's shields are too strong for our weapons. But shields have to let ships through, right? Otherwise, their own fighters could not launch. Taemin looked up. So we go through the shield. We ram them. The bridge was silent. You want to ram a ship that is 50 times our size, Hyunwoo said slowly. At maximum speed, Taemin agreed. With our reactors set to overload on impact, it will make a very big explosion. We will die, Bora said. Yes, Taemin said simply. But so will everyone on the planet if we do not stop that mothership. Hyunwoo thought about the message, about the old voice asking to be remembered, about 8,000 people hiding in tunnels, waiting to die, about his crew who had families back home, who had dreams and hopes and futures. Evacuate non-essential personnel to the escape pods, he said. Anyone who wants to leave, leaves now. No shame in it. The rest of you, strap in. We are going to do something stupid. No one moved toward the escape pods. Not one person. Damn, Hyunwoo said. He felt pride and sadness in equal measure. All right then. Taemin, give me that overload. Bora, plot the course. Everyone else, hold on tight. The Indomitable turned. It pointed directly at the Krath mothership and burned. The engines screamed. The ship shook so hard that Hyunwoo thought it would tear itself apart before they even reached the target. The Krath finally noticed them. The mothership fired everything it had. Red beams, missiles, plasma cannons. The Indomitable's shields collapsed. The armor began to burn away. We are not going to make it, someone said. Yes, we are, Hyunwoo said. The ship hit the mothership's shield at 40% of light speed. The shield collapsed. The Indomitable, burning and broken, punched through and hit the mothership's hull. Taemin triggered the reactor overload. The explosion was visible from the planet's surface. It was visible from 3 star systems away. The mothership, the pride of the Krath Empire, split in half, and on the planet below, 8,000 Viridians looked up at the sky and saw hope fall like fire. Captain Haewon Choi felt the drop pod shake as it entered the atmosphere. Around her, 19 Marines sat strapped into their seats, silent and ready. Above them, the remains of the Terran fleet limped through space, burning and broken, but still fighting. Below them, an army of 300,000 Krath warriors waited. 2 minutes to landing, the pod's computer announced. Haewon checked her rifle for the 3rd time. It was a simple weapon, old-fashioned even by Earth standards, but it worked. It fired solid rounds that did not care about energy shields or advanced armor. Sometimes simple was better. Listen up, she said to her Marines. The Krath are big. They are fast. They are mean. They have been conquering planets for 200 years. They think they cannot lose. She smiled coldly. Let us educate them. The Marines laughed. It was a hard sound, full of tension and fear and determination. They knew the odds. 2,000 humans against 300,000 aliens. It was insane. The pod hit the ground hard. The door blew off, and Haewon was moving before the smoke cleared. She came out shooting. A Krath warrior stood 10 meters away, 8 feet tall with 4 arms and teeth like knives. Her first 3 rounds hit it in the chest. It fell. Move, 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 she shouted. Her squad deployed in a practiced pattern, finding cover in the rubble of what used to be a Viridian city. All around them, other pods were landing. Marines spilling out like angry ants. The Krath were everywhere. They wore black armor that drank the light. They carried weapons that looked like they were grown rather than built. They roared as they charged, a sound that made Haewon's bones shake. But the humans were ready. They had chosen their landing zone carefully. The ruins provided cover and choke points. The Marines set up overlapping fields of fire. When the Krath charged, they ran into a wall of bullets. Contact front, someone shouted. Contact left. Contact everywhere. Good, Haewon said. That means they are all in one place. She switched her radio to the command channel. Sung-ho. You see them? 2 kilometers away, Sniper Sung-ho Lee lay on top of a collapsed building. His rifle was longer than he was tall. Through his scope, he could see the Krath command post. He could see the officers, the ones with the fancier armor and the bigger weapons. I see them, he said calmly. He breathed out slowly. The rifle fired once. A Krath officer's head exploded. The Krath command post erupted in confusion. They had never been attacked from so far away. They thought they were safe behind their lines. Sung-ho fired again. Another officer fell. Then, another. That is 3, he said. Adjusting position, he moved to a different location. That was the key to sniping. Never stay in one place. Never let them find you. Shoot and move. Shoot and move. On the front line, the Krath were learning that humans did not fight like the Viridians. The Viridians had stood and fought bravely, but predictably. Humans were different. They used the terrain. They set traps. They fought dirty. Demolitions expert Kyung-Soo Nam had been busy before the landing. He had studied the area from orbit and identified key locations. Now, as the Krath charged through a narrow canyon, he pressed a button on his detonator. The canyon walls exploded. Tons of rock fell on the Krath warriors. The ones who survived found themselves trapped, separated from their army. The Marines picked them off one by one. Kyung-Soo, you beautiful maniac, Haewon said over the radio. That bought us time. I have more presents ready. Kyung-soo replied cheerfully. They just have to come to the right places. Really fine. Kyung-soo. Really fine like places. But the Krath were learning too. They were not stupid. They began to adapt. They stopped charging blindly. They used their own cover. They brought up heavy weapons. A plasma cannon opened fire on Haewon's position. The building she was hiding behind began to melt. Fall back, she ordered. Her squad retreated to secondary positions. A Marine named Jae-sung was the last one out, covering the retreat. He was so young, barely 22. He fired his rifle until it ran dry, then drew his pistol. Jae-sung, move, Haewon shouted. Going, ma'am, he replied. But a Krath warrior was faster. It grabbed him with two of its arms. Jae-sung did not hesitate. He pulled a grenade from his vest, armed it, and held it between himself and the Krath. For Earth, he said. The explosion killed them both. But it also blocked the passage, giving the rest of the squad time to escape. Haewon wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. She wanted to go back and recover his body. But there was no time. There was never time in war. She added his name to the list in her head, the list of people she had failed to save. Ma'am, one of her Marines said. We have visitors. 3 Viridians approached carefully, staying low. One of them was young, maybe Jae-sung's age. Another was older, with robes that had once been fine, but were now covered in dust. They looked terrified but determined. We want to help, the old one said. His voice was in her head, not her ears. Telepathy. We are not warriors, but we can coordinate. We can link your minds, so you move as one. Haewon thought about it. It could be a trap. But these people had already lost everything. Why would they betray the ones trying to save them? Do it, she said. The old Viridian touched her forehead. Suddenly, Haewon could feel her squad. Not just hear them on the radio, but feel them. She knew where they were, what they were thinking, what they needed. It was like being part of a single organism. This is incredible, she whispered. It is how we survive, the old Viridian said. Together, with the telepathic link, the Marines became something new. They moved like water, flowing around obstacles, filling gaps. When one Marine was in trouble, others knew instantly. When the Krath tried to flank them, the humans were already waiting. The battle raged for hours. The Krath kept coming in waves. The humans kept finding ways to stop them. Medic Yoon Ji-han worked in what used to be a school, treating wounded Marines and Viridians alike. She had not slept in 30 hours. Her hands were covered in blood. But every time someone said she should rest, she just shook her head and kept working. Rest when they are dead, she said. As the sun set, a Krath warlord came to the front lines. He was massive, even for a Krath. His armor was covered in skulls from a dozen species. He roared a challenge. Single combat, the Viridian translator said. He challenges your leader to honorable combat. Haewon walked forward. The warlord looked down at her. She was half his size. He laughed. You? He said. You are nothing. Haewon raised her rifle and shot him. Once in the chest, once in the head. He fell like a tree. Honor is for equals, she said. You are just an exterminator. And I am pest control. The Krath warriors stood in shock. Their warlord was dead. Killed without ceremony, without ritual. It was unthinkable. Next? Haewon asked. They came at her then, all of them at once. But the Marines were ready. The Viridians were ready. And when the night finally came, the line still held. 8,000 Viridians were still alive. And the Krath were learning a terrible truth. Humans did not fight for honor. They did not fight for glory. They fought to win. 3 days had passed since the first landing. 3 days of constant fighting. The Marines had lost 800 soldiers. The Viridians had lost another 1,000 helping to defend their world. But Haven's Rest still stood. Commander Hyun-woo stood in the makeshift command center, staring at the tactical display. He had survived the ramming attack by pure luck. The escape pod had ejected seconds before impact, but his ship was gone. His fleet was gone. Only 2 vessels remained in orbit, both barely functional. "The Krath are gathering," Bora said. She had burns across half her face from a console explosion, but she refused to stop working. "Every warrior they have left, 200,000 of them. They are going to throw everything at us in one attack." "When?" Hyun-woo asked. "Dawn. 3 hours from now." Hyun-woo looked at the map. His forces were spread too thin. They had maybe 1,200 Marines still combat-ready. The Viridians were helping, but they were not fighters. They would die in the first wave. "We cannot hold," he said quietly. "No," Bora agreed. "We cannot. Not conventionally." She brought up a new display. "But I have an idea. The Krath are massing in the valley to our east. It is the obvious approach, the easiest path to Haven's Rest. That is why they chose it. And there are 2 ships in orbit. Mostly dead, but their reactors still work. Their weapons still work." She met his eyes. "We can use them for orbital fire support. That close to our own position?" Hyun-woo shook his head. "The blast radius will kill our people too." "Some of them," Bora said. "Maybe half. But if we do nothing, all of them die. This way, some survive." It was the mathematics of war. Trade 50 lives to save 100. Trade 100 to save 1,000. Hyun-woo hated it. But he had not come this far to fail now. "Do it," he said. "But warn the troops. Give them time to get to minimum safe distance." Bora nodded and turned to her console. Hyun-woo walked outside. The night air was cold and smelled like smoke. He could see the Marines preparing. Some were checking weapons. Some were writing letters they would never send. Some were just sitting quietly, thinking about home. A young voice called out, "Commander!" It was Jae-sung. No, wait. Jae-sung was dead. This was another young Marine, one who looked like he should still be in school. Hyun-woo was getting them confused. He was too tired. "What is it, soldier?" "Sir, the Viridians want to fight with us. They say they are tired of hiding. They say if we can be brave, so can they." Hyun-woo walked to where a group of Viridians stood. They held human weapons awkwardly, like children holding toys. But their eyes were determined. "You do not have to do this," he told them. "We came here to save you. You have saved us." The old one, Thexara, said. "But now we must save ourselves. We must prove we are worth saving. If we survive by hiding while you die, what have we become?" Hyun-woo thought about arguing, but he saw the truth in their eyes. They needed this. They needed to stand and fight for their own world. He nodded. "Then you fight with us," he said. "And we fight together." The word spread quickly. Viridians emerged from the shelters. Not all of them, but enough. They formed up behind the Marine lines, ready to support, ready to coordinate with their telepathy. Haewon found Hyun-woo as he walked back to the command center. Her armor was scorched and dented. She had a bandage wrapped around her head, but she was still standing. "Sir, my people are ready," she said. "We have set up every trap we can. Kyungsoo has the entire valley wired to explode. Sungho has identified key targets. Yoonji has the medical station ready." She paused. "We are going to lose a lot of good people tomorrow." "Go." "I know. Is it worth it?" she asked. "For aliens we just met? For people who have nothing to give us in return?" Hyun-woo looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, Earth spun on its axis. Billions of humans lived their lives, unaware of what was happening here, unaware of the sacrifice being made in their name. "We are not doing this for payment," he said. We are doing this because it is right. Because if we do not stand against evil, who will? We are humanity, HFY. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, even if it kills us? Especially then, HFY smiled. Good answer, sir. See you on the other side. She walked away to rejoin her troops. The hours crawled by. Sung Ho lay in his sniper position, watching the Krath army gather through his scope. There were so many, like a sea of black armor, stretching to the horizon. He had maybe 40 rounds left, 40 rounds against 200,000 enemies. He almost laughed. This is going to be interesting, he muttered. Yoonji prepared the medical station for what was coming. She knew her supplies would not be enough. She knew most of the wounded she would see tomorrow could not be saved. But she would try anyway. That was what she did. She tried. Kyung-soo checked his detonators one last time. He had placed charges all through the valley, in the rocks, under the roads, in the buildings. When the Krath came through, he would turn their path into hell. It was his masterpiece, his final work of art. Dawn came slowly, painting the sky red. The Krath army began to move. They did not charge. They advanced like a wall, steady and unstoppable. The ground shook with their footsteps. Here they come, HFY said over the radio. Hold your fire until my command. Make every shot count. The Krath entered the valley. They were cautious now, after 3 days of learning human tricks. But they were also confident. They had numbers. They had strength. They had conquered 70 worlds. One more would be easy. Kyung-soo waited until the valley was full. Until there was no room to maneuver. No escape routes. Then, he pressed the button. The valley exploded. The charges detonated in a carefully planned sequence, each one triggering the next. The walls collapsed. The ground opened up. Fire and stone filled the air. Thousands of Krath died in seconds, but thousands more survived. They came on, climbing over the bodies of their dead, roaring in fury. The Marines opened fire. The Viridians focused their telepathy, linking every defender into a single mind. Sung Ho's rifle spoke again and again, each shot claiming a target. Bo-ra, we need that fire support, Hyun-woo shouted into the radio. Targeting now, Bo-ra replied from the orbital ship. Sir, you need to get your people back. The blast radius. Do it, Hyun-woo ordered. Now, the sky screamed. 2 lances of light fell from orbit, bright as small suns. They hit the valley with the force of nuclear weapons. The shock wave knocked everyone off their feet. The heat turned sand into glass. When the dust cleared, the valley was gone. Just a crater, smoking and empty. The Krath army was shattered. Of 200,000, maybe 20,000 remained. And they were running. We did it, someone whispered. We actually did it, but Hyun-woo was not celebrating. He was counting the cost. 50 Marines dead from the orbital strike. 100 more wounded. Texara was dead, killed by the shockwave while linking mines. Dozens of Viridians had died with him. The victory tasted like ashes. In orbit, the 2 ships that had provided fire support were dead. Their reactors had burned out from the overload. They would never fly again. And more Krath were coming. Reinforcements from other systems. The survivors had days, maybe weeks, but they had won today. Against impossible odds, they had won. And tomorrow, they would fight again. 3 months later, Liramesh stood in the rebuilt council chamber and looked at the sky. It was clear now. No smoke, no fires. The Krath were gone, driven back to their own territory. The war was over, but the scars remained. She walked through the city, seeing the changes everywhere. The Viridians had always built with curves and light, making everything soft and beautiful. Now their buildings had straight lines and hard angles. They had gun emplacements on the roofs. They had shield generators in the streets. They had learned to be warriors. Taemin found her standing by the memorial. He walked with a limp now. A piece of shrapnel had damaged his leg during the final battle. The doctors said he would always limp. He said it gave him character. "You are thinking too hard again," he said. He spoke her language now, though with a funny accent that made children giggle. "I am thinking about what we lost," Liramesh said. 9 billion people. Our innocence. Our peace. We are not the same species we were a year ago. No, Taemin agreed. But you are alive. That counts for something. They stood together, looking at the memorial. It was a statue of a human marine, falling from the sky with fire trailing behind. The artist had captured that moment when the drop pods had arrived, when hope had literally fallen from the heavens. At the base were carved the names. 2,000 names of humans who had come to this world. Only 743 had left. "I miss Jae-sung," Taemin said quietly. "He was so young. He reminded me of my little brother back on Earth." Liramesh touched his hand. It was a human gesture, one she had learned from him. "Tell me about Earth," she said. He smiled. "It is loud and messy, and everyone argues about everything. It is perfect. I would like to see it someday." "You will," Taemin promised. "We are building new ships together. Viridian technology and human engineering. They will be fast enough to make the trip in weeks instead of months." That was the new world. Viridian science combined with human practicality. They were teaching each other. The Viridians learned to build weapons and shields. The humans learned telepathy and energy manipulation. With that, together, they were becoming something neither species could have been alone. Far away, on a space station orbiting a diplomatic world, Hyun-woo sat in front of the Galactic Council. His left arm was gone, replaced by a metal prosthetic. His face had new scars, but his eyes were clear and hard. "3 times, he said, his voice echoing in the chamber. 3 times the Viridians called for help. 3 times you ignored them. You said it was not your problem. You said getting involved would be dangerous." He stood up. 9 billion people died while you debated. 9 billion. 9 billion. The council members shifted uncomfortably. They were representatives from 40 different species. All powerful. All comfortable. None of them met his eyes. "And then 6 human ships arrived," Hyun-woo continued. 6 ships against a fleet. 2,000 Marines against an army. We did not debate. We did not form committees. We saw people dying and we acted. He placed a data chip on the table. "This contains full tactical records of the battle. Study it. Learn from it, because the Krath are not the only predators in the galaxy, and next time, we might not be there to save you." He walked out. Behind him, the council erupted in angry voices. Some called him arrogant. Some called him a warmonger. But some, a few, called him a hero. Bo-Ra met him outside. She had been promoted to admiral now, in charge of humanity's growing expeditionary fleet. She wore an eye patch, where burns had taken her right eye. She wore it like a badge of honor. "How did it go?" she asked. "About as expected," Hyun-woo said. "They are politicians. They will talk for months and do nothing. Then it is good we are not politicians," Bo-Ra said. She handed him a datapad. "New reports. The Krath Empire is in chaos. Their defeat at Viridian has inspired rebellions on a dozen worlds. Species they conquered are fighting back. The Empire is crumbling." "Good. Also, we have received 400 applications from other species wanting to join the expeditionary fleet. They saw what we did. They want to be part of it." Hyun-woo took the datapad and scrolled through the names. Viridians. Of course. But also others. Species he had never heard of. All of them wanting to fight for something bigger than themselves. "The galaxy is changing," he said. "Because we changed it," Bo-Ra replied. "Back on Viridian Prime, HFY trained the new defense force. They were a mix of Viridians and humans, learning to fight together. She was harder on them than any drill instructor in history. She made them run until they collapsed. She made them shoot until their hands bled. She made them practice evacuations, and first aid, and 1,000 other things. "Why are you so mean?" one young Viridian asked. After a particularly brutal training session, HFY looked at him. He was barely old enough to join the military. He still had hope in his eyes. She remembered Jae-sung, who had died holding a grenade. She remembered all the young ones who had not come home. "Because next time there is a war, I want you to survive," she said. "I want you to go home to your family. I want you to live a long, boring life. And the only way that happens is if you are harder than the enemy. Stronger, smarter, better." "But we beat the Krath," the young Viridian said. "We survived the Krath," HFY corrected. "There is a difference. Now, 50 more laps. And if anyone falls behind, everyone starts over." They groaned, but obeyed. And as they ran, she saw them growing stronger, saw them becoming the defenders their world needed. Sung-ho had stayed on Viridian Prime. The council had offered him a position as chief security advisor. He had accepted on one condition: they leave him alone most of the time. He spent his days in the wilderness, teaching young Viridians how to track, how to hide, how to survive. He was happy, in his quiet way. Yoonji had founded a medical academy, training doctors from both species. She worked 18-hour days and never complained. When someone asked why she pushed herself so hard, she said it was simple. "People died because I was not good enough. I will not let that happen again." And in a small house on the edge of Haven's Rest, Liramesh and Taemin raised their daughter. She was the first of her kind, human and Viridian both. Her name was Hope. Chosen carefully, she had her mother's telepathy and her father's stubborn determination. She would grow up in a world that her parents had fought to save. One night, Hope asked her father about Earth. "Is it really as beautiful as you say?" "More beautiful," Taemin said. "But Viridian is beautiful too. You are lucky. You have 2 homeworlds. Will there be more wars?" she asked. She was only 5, but she was smart. She knew the truth. "Probably," Taemin said honestly. "Bad people exist everywhere. But good people exist too. And as long as good people are willing to fight, the bad people cannot win." "Like you fought for us?" "Like we fought together," he corrected. "Your mother's people and mine. That is the secret. Alone, we are strong. Together, we are unstoppable." Years passed. The Viridian-Terran alliance grew. More species joined. The Krath Empire fell. Torn apart by rebellions and internal fighting, a new era began. One based not on conquest but on cooperation. And everywhere in the galaxy, people told the story. The story of how 8,000 Viridians were surrounded, hopeless, waiting to die. The story of how 6 human ships arrived when no one else would help. The story of how 2,000 Marines held the line against an empire. The story of how, when hope was lost, Earth's fighters fell from the sky. On Viridian Prime, the memorial grew. More names were added each year, not of the dead, but of the living, of those who had been saved, of the children born because humanity had said no to genocide, of the future that had been won through sacrifice. And at the top, carved in both Viridian symbols and human letters, were simple words: "We do not leave anyone behind." It was not a promise. It was a fact. It was who they were now. It was who they would always be. The universe had learned a lesson that day on Viridian Prime. Humanity would not stand by while innocents died. They would not calculate odds or consider costs. They would simply act. And God help anyone who stood in their way.